do you think that there is a way for us to tap into the side of our mind that has that rationality? I mean, I look at it as two ways, right? There's like, what's true? What's true might be that we have no control whatsoever and that we are purely acting in a biological way, just trying to survive to tomorrow. But even Sam Harris said that you should not teach your kids this. You should tell them that they have the ability to try and act correctly, try and make the right decision. And so it's like, what's true and what's helpful? What do you think is helpful for people in terms of thinking about the way that they act?
Well, there's a bunch in there. Let me get back to the beginning of your comment that we're constantly reacting to our emotions.
Mm.
It's really important to get over the point that we're not reacting to our emotions. Our emotions, in fact, are a reaction to biologically what's already underway.
Yeah.
So yes, then our emotions become part of how we feel and a dynamic in what we respond to. We get angry. We're conscious we're angry. We act on the anger. So that's an important distinction. But as to your central question, it's not as though we can't stop and think. And it's not as though reason can't overwhelm emotion. It does. As my friend Steven Pinker writes in Enlightenment Now, because our brain can do that, we've made all this progress. Wow, right? We have Zoom, right?
Yep.
Wow, right? It's not as though we can't, but we have to work hard to do it because it's not instinctively what the brain does first.
Mm.
And we have to really want to do it in order to do that work. We're fighting against the brain's instinct to cut corners and be lazy. We're literally fighting the lazy brain. And this is the work of Daniel Kahneman and all of the cognitive scientists for 40 years, that whole literature. Well, what do we want mostly? To get to tomorrow. So in terms of Sam and Jonathan Haidt and other thinkers about what should we teach our kids and the question, he's talking about teaching our kids morality. He's talking about teaching our kids and behaving ourselves in a way that is right, socially acceptable. Well, what are those rules for except for society to get along and everything to work so that we have better chance to survive? Pardon me for being derivative about this, right? But morality is what helps society work and helps people not whack each other and compete constantly. That's all they are. It's the same as with manners, for God's sake. It's the same thing. They're all grease for our functioning well, which inures to our safety, in my opinion. Now, there's another thing that you said in your comment that I really want to spend a moment with and see what you think. Talking too much. Truth. As far as I understand this much, very little of what the Stoics said, there's no such thing.
Yeah, I think.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but you and I, for example, can look at the microphone in front of you and say two different things about it, and we'd both be right. And broadly, is the earth round or flat? Or, is that dress blue or black? Remember the thing that went around online? There are only pieces of physical evidence, and then there are our interpretations about them, like I was quoting Epictetus earlier. So the fact that there is some accepted factual truth about anything that all of us will accept, which is kind of what we mean as the truth, is an open question. Scary, but an open question in my mind.
It is, and the Stoics kind of talked about this. From what I understand, Massimo Pigliucci helped me to understand this. He said that the Stoics kind of mixed with the skeptics and the cynics, and they were, obviously the skeptics were like, well, there's no such thing as perfect knowledge. There's just nobody exists who would have a perfect knowledge of truth. Then the Stoics said, well, okay, well, let's say we have the sage. Maybe in theory, it might be possible for somebody to get to the stage where they can see truth. But in practice, it's very difficult for us to get there because all that we see is what we see, right? We don't see what we can't see.